Oh, cool.
Hi,
Oh,
Ira, and there's our
cool.
first student is
There's Ira.
Hi, sorry, I think I'm a minute early.
that's no problem.
You know, what is it? The early bird gets the worm, whatever it is.
That's
Yeah.
one of the things that we say. Yeah.
That sounds a little savage, but that's the way it is.
How are you tonight, Ira?
I'm good, thanks. How's everybody?
Yeah, fine. We had a pretty gorgeous day here in Eastern Massachusetts. Are you in Northampton now?
I'm in Northampton. Yeah, it was
I
beautiful
saw an
here
interesting
also.
article today. Something on. I have a Google search for rail trails, and it said that a truck tried to drive down a rail trail in Northampton today. The Norwottuck Trail went about a half mile before it got stopped. A full size, a semi trailer. I don't know. It's just.
Oh wow!
I couldn't believe it. You
The
look it
trail's
up.
only about 8 to 10 feet wide.
Well, I know.
I hadn't heard that yet.
Well, you can find it. I think if you just look for it. It's apparently it happened. I even saw a picture.
Well, it'll be in our newspaper tomorrow
sure
because there's
be,
not
yeah.
a whole lot of other news to print.
It was in a newspaper story. So
Hey, it's great to see Safira. Safira's on the call. Great to see you, Safira.
Nice to see you as
nice
well.
to see you.
Hello.
Joe, how you doing, Joe? Joe Simons.
Well, yeah. Jojo.
I'm eating
Oh my goodness.
my afternoon pick-me-up.
Good.
Afternoon, which means that what is it, 4 o'clock for you?
It's
Yeah.
4 o'clock for Joe. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice.
Safira, do you have any idea how many students are going to be able to be with us tonight?
I'm not sure. I did send a big email out, so hopefully a lot. But I do know that I will not be joined by my fellow co-heads.
Oh, you won't. Well, I heard. Yeah.
Yeah, they had other engagements, but I'm happy to introduce you all to our exciting plans.
Good. Well, that's what we really want to hear. And I guess are you all all snowed with things to do right here at the end, approaching the end of the school year? Yeah.
Yes, it's midterms now, and it's just I had a lot of it's a busy week.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think Exeter is known for that.
Yep, this is what I signed up for.
Yeah.
You've got triple responsibility tonight, Safira, right?
Yeah, but it's okay.
All right.
Yeah. More students are
Good.
trickling.
Is X a student?
Yes.
There's
Xavier.
one square that just
Xavier.
says X. I don't know anything more.
Yeah, that's Xavier.
Oh, Xavier. Okay.
All right, we're at 7:02. We're past the hour.
Yeah. So if you think this is, I mean, I think there are going to be some more from our group, but we're recording it, so I made it clear that anybody who can't make it, that we can they'll be able to see it. So I don't know. We can sort of ease our way into just starting. I mean, what we mostly want to hear. We want to hear from you about how you're, what came out of your proposal to Bill Rawson. So, because we've heard some rumors of sorts, but we don't really understand. We don't know for sure. So you can tell us.
Okay, well, it went really well, probably as well as it could go. We emphasized so the proposal that we sent to you and that we had him read focused on the environmental theme for the year, which would allow us to do all of the initiatives that we would want to do within it. So like that would be our platform to have our initiatives publicized and for environmental activism to be at the forefront of the Academy's goals. So, so we focused on that mostly in our meetings with him, and he basically approved that entire idea, except he wanted us to change the word theme to pillar,
Mhm.
which I think that it doesn't matter what it's called. Like, he said that we could do everything that we wanted to do, just as long as we changed it to pillar, which that's fine by me.
Yeah.
And in a way,
Let me
it's
ask a
more-
question. I heard something that when that change, part of that change was that he thought the theme was for a year, and that the idea of pillar meant that it was going to be not just a year, which is, I think,
Yeah,
an
exactly.
improvement. That's an
Yeah.
improvement.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. We were trying to be a little bit incremental about it, but I guess this is much better and more legacy oriented, which is very nice. So yeah, so that's very exciting. We're able to now get ourselves organized with trying to make it a prominent thing, because it's one thing if like it's mentioned once at the beginning of the year and then never again, and nobody ever thinks about it again. But another thing is, and the path that we want to go down is bringing it up very consistently every week, every day, as much as possible. So basically, let me see, I have a list here.
I have one other question that you can address eventually, and that is the burden entirely on you to make things happen, or is the school, is there going to be some support that will be offered to you that will facilitate things? And you don't, I mean.
Yeah, so it is our job to, well, for the most part, to plan what we want to do. Like, since this was our proposal of to have this as a pillar, we have to come up with all the facets of it, which is understandable. And it was, to my understanding, that Principal Rawson, after the meeting, like, we didn't have any concrete plans. We just had the idea of this platform that we wanted to have, which he approved. But now it's time to buckle down and present some concrete plans to him. So that's what we're working on in the next couple of weeks, and we'll meet with him again to just confirm that we're able to do what we want to do. So it's to my understanding that we have his full support. Dr. Helfand, I mean, you are a member of the trustees, so it would be, of course, you've been supporting us, which is we're very grateful for that. And we're hoping that maybe we'll be able to work with a lot more alums in the future for assembly speakers and different things. So I think that we'll have a lot of support. Okay.
Sounds like things are in a very good place.
Yes, they are.
A different place from where they've ever been before,
Great.
as far as we can tell. I mean, this is.
Yeah, it's very exciting. So since most of our meetings have been concentrated on like the climate curriculum, I'll just update you about that. Like I said, we weren't talking about specific initiatives with Principal Rawson during our meetings. We were just talking about the platform. However, we did touch on it a little bit, and we also met with the Environmental Stewardship Committee. And we now understand that in order to get anything with the curriculum passed, and I think this is something that you all have mentioned as well, the desire for change has to come from the student body. And we understand that now, and we will work mostly now, instead of our focus before was encouraging the teachers to change something, but now we'll focus more on getting the students to petition for more courses, or like to have something change in the core curriculum. So that's something that we'll work on. And we will continue working with the Environmental Stewardship Committee. They, we discussed their climate action plan a little bit. And initially, they also had a portion that was concentrating on curriculum. And we suggested that instead of having the wording focus on science courses, which is what it originally was, we requested that it be a little bit more, not ambiguous, but a little bit more inclusive, so that once it's hopefully passed, we will be able to do more work in the curriculum area.
It seemed to me that part of your proposal included the idea of having multiple speakers to come in during the course of the year. Was that idea discussed in any detail with Principal Rawson?
So yes, that was part of what we presented, like what the theme or pillar would entail. So he's very supportive of that. We have to go through the assembly coordinator. We reached out to Mr. Myers, who's the current assembly coordinator, but he got back to us saying that he will not be next year. So we need to just wait on that front, unfortunately, until he's replaced. But that's okay. I think that we're requesting at least 2 assembly speakers a month who will be speaking on sustainability.
Wow.
We're going to request that. I don't know if it will be passed, but I'm imagining that it will be,
Good.
hopefully.
Listen, I have a special interest in asking that question, and that is that I have a sort of a long-standing relationship with Richard Heinberg, who I think you know. I won't go into details, but anyway, I have renewed. I spoke to him in 2016 about the idea of his coming to Exeter to speak, and he said he'd love to, and it's, but then there wasn't really an opportunity for that to happen because of other things that didn't happen. But I have now reached out again, and he and I are going to meet over on Zoom on the 2nd of May to talk about the possibilities. And what I am thinking that rather than trying to have him for a Climate Action Day speaker, which is very late in the year, that maybe what I want to explore with him is the idea of it coming earlier. We don't have a particular date, but also the idea of coming for more than just one address to the whole student body, but to come and spend a couple of days. One thing in particular that's interesting, and I'll tell you, he has played the violin since he was in high school, and I've heard him play. He's quite good as an amateur violinist, and he likes to perform little bits of classical music. So I'm gonna find out again if he would be interested in. And I've discussed this with Andrew Tammany yet, and he says he's sure that you probably have there's an account. He likes to do duets with guitar and violin, so that maybe we could have a little performance of some, at some point during the, because he wants to play his violin every day. So if he came for more than one day, he would have his violin with him and he'd want to practice. And so that's a possibility. And I think the idea of you're seeing a person who's about more than just one thing, and he would have some time to spend with small groups. And so any idea that you think that you would like to have me discuss with him on the 2nd of May, please send me a message with anything like that you would like to have discussed. We don't have a particular date yet, and I don't think and as soon as you know who the coordinator of that will be, then we can start exploring those possibilities. But I just wanted you to know that I think there's a very good chance that can happen, and
Okay.
probably in the fall rather than in the spring.
Okay. Yeah.
I have a concern about lead time. Lining up speakers frequently, especially speakers who are in demand, requires a fair amount of lead time.
Mhm.
And I'm concerned about being put off by, I'm not the guy for next year, and you have to wait till the guy for next year is appointed. This, you could find yourself with no speakers in the early fall at all because you wouldn't have had time to line them up. Is the person for next year going to be appointed soon, or is this something that's not going to be done until this summer or sometime in the fall? Again, my point is, if you have to go through somebody who's not there, you're going to have a problem lining up speakers. And I think you may need to take initiative along the lines that Conrad is talking about to line up speakers. I just give you a warning on this subject. I don't know whether this is going to become a problem, but it has all the earmarks of bureaucratic inertia.
Yeah, well, and anything that you can think of that we might be able to do to help assist you get that moving faster, let us know. And if we can advocate for you, we'll try.
Mhm.
I want to
Sophia,
ask a question.
Do you know when the replacement is going to be named?
I'm not sure. Hold on, let me look at Mr. Meyer's email again.
Mhm.
He said, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, he doesn't know when the person will be in place. We have to go through the dean of faculty. So we can follow up with her about when the person will be placed. But, you know, Mr. Myers has a really good idea of how much in advance you need to plan these things. And he didn't raise a concern about like having any difficulty. And I think that I said in my original email to him that we were thinking of 1 or 2 people per month. So he
A lot of
didn't
people.
raise any concerns. And yeah, so I think that if we are doing it even at the beginning of the summer, I think we shouldn't have any problems scheduling assembly speakers. But if we do, I think we can probably arrange, and we'll discuss this with Principal Ross. And once again, we have his support. So, you know, I would imagine that if he agreed to having assembly speakers under this pillar, which is a major part of the pillar, I would imagine that he would do he would try to support us and like have that be able to happen. And maybe we wouldn't necessarily, if like worst comes to worst, maybe we wouldn't have the person scheduled during the assembly block, but we could always have them scheduled
Sure.
later in the day or on the weekends, and in a way that might be as good or even better because it'll be a special thing that people will be able to go to.
Looks like
Sophia,
Jonathan
I
has a
have a
question.
question.
It's good.
Yes.
The question is, can you explain to us what the Environmental Stewardship Committee is? You know, how it fits in? I'm not really clear on that.
Yes. So the Environmental Stewardship Committee is the adult group of people who are doing sustainability work on campus. That consists of, well, I don't have a list of their names right now, but that consists of our club advisor, Mr. Andrew McTammany, I forget his title, but
Sustainability coordinator.
Biggins. Yes, sustainability
Warren
coordinator, Mr.
Biggins.
Biggins. Yes, Warren Biggins, and I think about 5 or 6 or 7 other people, and we met with them. So they fit in because they are the ones who came up with the climate action plan, which is to be
Got it.
presented to the trustees. Is it still in May?
Yes.
I don't,
I think
okay, good.
my understanding is that Jason Vermiller, who was the previous academic who is on that committee, and also Betsy Stevens, Miss Stevens is another. So I know they are on the committee, and I'm not sure if the other ones.
Dr. Goddard.
Oh, yes, Sydney Goddard. Yes, she is. Yes.
She's on the committee, and a few other people.
Right.
So yes, they're the adult group. And actually, it's kind of sad that the Environmental Action Committee and the Environmental Stewardship Committee haven't really been in very good communication before really this term, but we're trying to change that, and we'll continue to work with them. I
Good.
believe they meet twice a month, and we asked if we could meet with them on a semi-regular basis, just so that we could update each other and work together on moving towards the same goal, since we're moving towards the same goal.
Maybe you can exchange meeting minutes or something like that, so that even if there's something not there, you can always be in, you can know what each other's doing.
Well, there's already a connection because Mr. McTammany is
Sure.
a member, and we're in communication with him.
Right,
So
right.
he's always, I believe, updated them about what we're doing. And we haven't always known what they're doing, but for there's been some communication, but not enough. So we're hoping to change that in the future. So
I have, can you speak of Safira, can you speak about anything? Tell us about what you expect about Climate Action Day, your expectations, and how you feel about that.
So nothing specific at the moment. However, because we're doing this whole major push for sustainability awareness and climate change awareness on campus, we're hoping that it'll be, a big event, much bigger, hopefully, than any past Climate Action Day. And that's all I can say for now, really, because it's next spring. So we haven't started planning, but planning does need to start this summer. So we will update you about that. I will actually share with you this document that I've been compiling. Just this is what me and my fellow co-heads have been discussing, and some of it will look familiar from and is carried over from the original proposal, but now we have much more concrete plans. So I guess I'll keep going down the list. So I already mentioned working with the Environmental Stewardship Committee. I mentioned what we would do to further climate education. And I'll go on to the preliminary concrete plans section. So we already talked with you about the potentially required summer book for either all grades or just incoming preps. We'll have to talk about that with Principal Ross, and it was unclear where he stood on that. At first, he said that he would be happy to buy books for everyone, but then I don't know, he may have backtracked on that a little bit, but I'm not sure. So then we have assemblies and open forums. So as a refresher, open forums would be just either assembly speakers would run them, or an alum would run them, or we would run them, and they would just be kind of large Harkness discussions about sustainability and like different kind of interdisciplinary topics on sustainability and climate change and other topics. So those will probably be optional, but we'll advertise them well and hopefully get good turnout. And then probably one of the biggest and the biggest initiative that we're going to try to get passed is the interdorm sustainability competitions. Those will be the things that will probably create the most change. We're hoping that it being formatted as a competition will have some incentivized drive to it. So as you can see, all dorms will be required to participate. The dormitory with the most sustainability points wins. And for example, in the fall and spring, a dorm could volunteer to clean the Exeter woods, and that would be worth 5 points. And then maybe someone individually wants to cook a sustainable recipe or submit a sustainable recipe, like, and this we considered different kind of commitment level of initiatives based on, you know, the size of the dorm. Like, you know, some houses obviously wouldn't, it's easier for houses to organize like a woods cleanup than like a 70-person dorm to organize a woods cleanup. So we want to make sure that it's easy for everyone to participate in initiatives. So that's that. Hopefully that will result in a lot of campus-wide participation in sustainability initiatives. And then next is a sustainability library exhibit, kind of based on the 50-year anniversary exhibit, which was last term, and showcased student art and writing, and was very successful. It brought in a lot of, I believe, alumni. Oh, sorry, Joe. Yes. Oh, you're on mute.
Muted, Joe.
Sorry for the interrupts.
Okay.
I noticed that, and thank you. I really appreciate what you're talking about. I just didn't understand what Cora Balls is.
Oh, yeah. So that's been something that we were working on, that we've been working on these past couple of terms. They're just these laundry balls that you can, no, they're these balls that you can put in the laundry that pick up microfilaments from like acrylic clothes so that it doesn't get in the water. And it's just something easy that we were hoping to get funding for and put in all of the dorms, or as many dorms as possible. And we will continue working on that.
Are these things are like Velcro? They sort of somehow suck up this these fibers, and then do you throw them away, or can you clean the fibers off and reuse them?
You do reuse them. I will paste the link to the website so you can see what they look like.
If you just Google Cora Ball, it'll bring
Yeah, I
up
can do that. You
the
don't have
story.
Yeah.
Which is
Okay,
what
well,
I was just doing there, $38.99. No, add to cart.
Go ahead, John, edit.
Well, great. Some marketing for them tonight. So, okay. Yes, so sustainability library exhibit, which will hopefully draw a lot of attention to the initiative. And of course, club collaborations which will continue to, yes, thanks, Junhyuk. We'll talk about individual initiatives after. I'm sorry, I am talking the most out of all the students just to get through these initial plans, but then we'll open it up to the floor just in case anyone has, because we haven't really talked about this that much as a club yet. So if anyone else has any comments later on, yeah, I actually think I'm finished outlining the pillar plans. So if there's any comments from the other students here, that would be great.
Silence.
That's
Oh, they're
okay.
thinking of speaking. I see that there are quite a few new names tonight that I see. Are these all members of EAC that we just haven't heard from before?
Yes.
Good.
So there's just different there's different levels of availability with
Sure.
these meetings, so there's, yeah.
Well, I don't know that we need to get all their email addresses, but I mean, I assume you will anything that is sent to you will go to all of them if you need to.
Yes, we've been updating them pretty regularly about
Great.
our conversations. But yeah, so I'm pretty sure I covered everything, at least that's on the doc. If you have any further questions or suggestions, I think that any suggestions for the summer reading would be helpful, or any other suggestions that you have or comments.
And this is an incredibly exciting report for us to receive. I mean, I think we're just everybody in the alumni group is just really excited by the progress you guys have made in moving the school towards accepting this program. And it's just great work. Thank you so much. I guess a question that we have is, what can we do to be helpful moving forward in terms of, I mean, I'm sure you'll get more suggestions of specific books and speakers than you really want or need, but aside from that, are there other things that we can do to be helpful to moving this project forward? I ask that to any of the students who are part of the club.
Yeah, I will mute myself to open it to the floor.
Hey, students out there who haven't shown your photos, it would be really cool if we could see who you were. Ah, great.
Yeah.
Thank you. We just got one. Two.
Good.
Hey, great.
All right, I can speak a little bit too.
Oh, look at
I
that.
guess.
Oh, say Christopher. Yeah.
So, I just wanted to say, I think the most important thing is like all of y'all's support, like while we're doing this, because as students, it gets busy, and we just need to keep focused on our goal. And I think like support from you guys is really important. I think support from the alumni is like valued a lot, because it's not just like the kids saying like they want things, but it has like a little bit more back support, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just one point that I'm grateful for.
Yeah. Could I jump in on that one, please? Peter here. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yes. Good. I was talking to my wife today about this wonderful group of students, and you proved it again tonight, how motivated, really intelligent and focused you are. And I said, this generation is probably different than we were in 1964. Suppose a bunch of old fogies from the class of 1908 dropped in and said, we'd like to talk to you about the impending crisis in Southeast Asia, because it was just before the Vietnam War. I personally would have been completely, incapable of responding. I would be at a loss for words. And you guys are so eloquent and so well organized. I just read through the entire project that you put in the annex, Safira, and it's incredibly complete. And it's just really wonderful. The idea of having a competition among the dormitories is great. The idea of a summer book program, even for incoming students, is just fabulous. Getting everybody on board. My hat's off to you guys. So I just wanted to say that it's a two-way street. Christopher, it's nice of you to say that it's good for us to be there. I think we're here mostly for moral support at this point, but it's great. It's an honor for us to work with you guys too.
Here. Beautiful,
We
Peter.
agree.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, for sure.
I will mention one other thing that some of the team may know about. I was planning to do a workshop for Climate Action Day that I'm not going to be able to do this time, but I'll tell you a little bit about it. And my sense, I'm trying to see if there's a way that I can do it for a select group another time. This has to do with permaculture. Do all of you know what permaculture is? Is that something that the students particular? So what I want to propose, permaculture is a way of in a very general sense of working in harmony with nature to do what people are trying to do rather than you know, a good comparison is the difference between industrial agriculture that we practice almost universally around the world now, where a single crop is planted in rows and all of that. Permaculture is more like the way a forest works, where plants grow together because that's the way nature does it, and they're harmonious. They're compatible. And so what I would like to do is to propose that Exeter move toward having a permaculture garden that would be a real demonstration. I mean, it's a wonderful learning experience for how nature really works. The one downside is that if we're talking about the growing season in New England is mostly in the summertime, and you students are not around that much in the summertime. But if this gets a permaculture is something that's not something that you would, get it started one year and then that's it, you're done. This is something you wouldn't begin to realize its full potential for 2 or 3 or 4 years, and the longer it goes, the more abundant it gets, and more wonderful things happen. But there's an add-on to that, which I'd also like to propose, which has to do with something local, and other people in the Cal group know about it. There's somebody I visited a place up in Maine on Cape Rozier, run by a man named Elliot Coleman, who has developed a system of dual greenhouses, hoop houses that are covered with plastic, with one that's tall enough that you can walk in it, and then the lower ones that go around the plant. He can create a growing environment in north of Exeter, in really pretty hostile climate, that's the equivalent of southern Georgia in terms of what he can grow. So he grows produce all year round, and I think that and now I've subsequently learned just in the last week that there are a number of other farmers are all around other parts of Maine who are using this system. So I think a combination of this dual hoop house set up, so it would be adjacent to and that would be operating all year round in the wintertime. So there would be, so I would like to make a presentation to a group of students who are interested in that small group, and maybe at least one or two faculty members who might be, you would need some sponsors. And if we can arrange a time when I can do that, the reason I can't do that is it has to do with sort of health reasons. I'm immunocompromised, and I don't really have, I've had all my shots and things, but I don't, my body doesn't make antibodies the way it should. So it's just, we've had another surge. So I don't think, rather than trying to do something face-to-face, we could do something with Zoom, or maybe it'll work out face-to-face later in the year, but as soon as it's possible, I'm going to be working on this with Andrew. I will let you know, and if you can sort of begin talking it up, and I can send you some information about it. I think it would take, an hour or an hour, it would be a session that would last an hour, and I would hope to generate a lot of enthusiasm. And my idea is that the first thing that should happen is that a group of students with a faculty sponsor or two should create a proposal for what that would be, how you would use that, how you learn about it, just in the abstract. And there are several there's several people in the New England area that I know who have written books, who have a national reputation. I think the right person could be hired to come in and help advise Exeter to really do something that would be a knockout demonstration of what we should be doing as a thing. So I just want to share that idea.
I'd like to add on that I think the alumni would probably be very helpful in terms of funding the hoop house or the 2 hoop houses, and maybe some equipment that goes along with that. So don't let money stop you.
I don't think we're talking about a huge amount of money here. I think, this would be Yeah, but I'm sure, yeah, the funding, I think, wouldn't be a problem, but, I think maybe one of the biggest items would be, hiring a consultant for a little bit of time getting it set up or something like that. But anyway, that's just, I want to plant that idea and plant the idea.
so to speak, right? I'd like to add to that. I'd like to jump in that could also be completely carbon footprint, empty neutral.
Oh, yes, it is.
Because we have some really good examples of that up here in Quebec, which is even farther north, of using wasps to kill off the natural predators on tomato plants, for example, so that you don't have to use pesticides, and doing hydroponics and everything. And all of that could be integrated. They even grow tomatoes here as a perennial crop. I had never heard about that, but I used to take my students to this greenhouse where they have a pulley system, and you keep raising the tomato plant every year higher and higher, and it will produce for years, whereas most people just grow it as an annual. So there's a lot of room for really innovative, interesting technology experimentation involving the student.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree with all the things that have been said. I'm leading like the hydroponic initiative. So I feel like that really ties in a lot of it. And I think if we do like experiment and do try to like learn more about it and learn about like the carbon footprint of our hydroponic garden, that would make it a lot more interesting. And also like having something to pass down, as in like having someone take care of it. Like I think it's listed as one of those like bigger point initiatives, like the stewardship.
Right.
But I feel like that would be really impactful as well.
I mean, done right, it would be there from now on, and just get better and better.
So we were hoping that at this next Climate Action Day, we could get that started and plugged in, supported by students, faculty, and administration, so that the ball would start rolling in that direction. And I don't know if we still have an opportunity to do that. I think we should explore if we can't actually get something moving at this next Climate Action Day. I'm just asking whether that's a possibility.
You mean
Well,
the one that's in a couple of weeks?
Yes, it's in 6 days. It's next Monday.
Right. Yes. So actually, as I mentioned earlier, Climate Action Days usually are organized the summer before the spring term that it takes place, in which it takes place. And I believe that a few days ago, a list of all of the activities that you could do, all the required appointments that you could do, was already sent out to the students, and everyone already signed up for those. And those had to be confirmed a while in advance. So unfortunately, I don't think that it could be incorporated into this year's Climate Action Day. But the way that you are talking about it seems like it's a long-term project. So I'm wondering if we wouldn't have to wait for the next Climate Action Day. We could just get it started as soon as the next school year starts.
Right.
Zafira, I understand the long lead times, and I understand what you're saying perfectly, the process.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that the fact that Conrad was already in a slot there and had to actually give it up would serve, if we could somehow fill that slot in a way that would just get something started, just so we don't have to help it move as fast as possible.
Yeah, I can actually send the note to Andrew again. I just let Andrew know on Friday, this past Friday, that I decided I couldn't do it, just because there's been this new variant that's come out, and I decided that it wouldn't be wise for me to do that.
Oh, I see.
But,
so
it could
already
be
set up.
Well, it kind of was, but I mean, the point is, you're saying that most students will have, there's a workshops in the morning and then workshops in the afternoon. They're just two slots for these workshops, and most students will have signed up for, they've made their choices. So if they've already committed themselves to the only 2 times that they could do workshops, I think if we say, well, there's a new one that you can now choose, but nobody's going to be free to choose it probably. So I'll talk to Andrew tomorrow maybe and see what possibilities are.
I think that would be best because I don't have any control over what happens in this climate action day,
Right.
which was part of what was unfortunate about this climate action day is that EAC didn't really have any
Input.
organizational input. Yes.
Mhm.
So yeah, unfortunately, I don't have any control over like what happens to the list of events. So yeah, talking to Mr. McTammany would probably be best.
Okay.
Just a quick comment, looking forward to a longer term idea. I don't know how much food that is eaten at the dorms is actually grown on campus, but I'm going to guess it's less than 1%. And
Probably be correct.
so wouldn't it be cool over the next, say, 5 or 10 years to set some goals? Like at the end of 2 years, we're going to be able to feed
Yeah.
5% of the food is going to be from the Exeter Garden sustainability, you know, this hoop house thing, whatever. And then 6 years from now, it's going to be 10%, and you know, something where you've got some stretch goals, and then somebody would say, wait a minute, Exeter is a liberal arts prep boarding school. It's not a farm. And part of me is thinking, well, we have to re-envision where this is going. I think probably one of the most critical things that's going to come out of this climate disruption situation is food security and
Yes.
food surplus. And
Yes.
so people need to know a lot more about the origin and production and management of food than they used to.
Yes.
Because before you just go to the grocery store. Now, not quite the same. And I think John would be our go-to guy on this.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, I will just share with you that about, I think, 5 or 6 years ago, the University of Massachusetts at Amherst, which is, you've probably heard of that, it's a big university, 20,000 students. They won a national award, but you were singled out. They had permaculture gardens, several around the campus, and they were producing a huge amount of food used on the campus. And that was, I said, 5 or 6 years ago. So, I mean, I'm sure they're still there. This was just when that was fresh. So this is not a novel idea.
No. And Middlebury College has had a program going for quite some time,
Sure.
growing its own food. Students get involved up there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
I think probably, I'm sorry if I interrupted. Did I?
no.
Okay, we'll probably have a team of people working closely with the dining hall. In fact, I believe that the head of the dining halls is part of the environmental stewardship committee, but I'm not sure. I would have to confirm that. We'll work closely with the dining halls in the future, and it doesn't even necessarily, of course, growing our own food on campus would be wonderful, but if it doesn't get to 5%, we can even emphasize just buying from local farms, because there's a lot of
Right.
A lot of local farms
around Exeter,
Yeah,
and I
and-
think they might already buy a lot of their produce from them, but I'm not sure how much, so we can discuss that with them.
Yeah.
You could
And,
also
and
have-
of course, not to harp too much on the environment, on the carbon footprint, but an enormous amount of the cost of food is in airplane costs for shipping things from Latin America in the off season. And the more that, say, New Hampshire could provide the food, the more the transportation costs could be slashed,
It's
and
that-
the environmental imprint. So
Yep.
Exeter can do as much as it can, but students are also very busy with classes. But buying locally is something that would be feasible tomorrow, and I think
Yeah.
that's a great idea.
0-kilometer philosophy.
Right.
Well,
I like
another
that.
thing is, as long as we're just reaching out in this direction, is to start migrating away from meat or particularly combined animal feedlot operations, so that you start moving the concept of food more toward a plant-based, although maybe not eliminated entirely, but maybe you would have some ponds for growing fish, or I mean, it could get tricky if it isn't done right, but some other means of doing like what Peter was saying is minimize the transportation costs.
Mhm.
But also you're sending a message that we need to move away from beef.
Yes.
Because think of, ripping out the Amazon rainforest, be able to grow corn to feed the animals that are then going to end up at McDonald's,
Right.
We're trying to change that.
Yeah.
So back to your proposed speaker series. Do you think amongst you all, you can come up with a good list of names, or could we be helpful in making some suggestions for good speakers on certain topics?
So other people can comment while I pull up the original proposal that has a few names that.
Yeah, it's a good list, but I would say, wait, it certainly doesn't matter there's no reason not to propose more. I mean, I think.
Yes, of course. So
The
if
more
anyone
people they have
else-
to choose from.
Well, I would also like to hear from any student that hasn't spoken up already, if you have anything you'd like to say to us. I mean, because we really want to hear from you. So please don't be quiet if you have something that you want to mention.
I was kind of wondering, I think I actually reached out to someone via email in Cal, but a lot of students that I know that have interest in environmental activism are interested in pursuing it also outside the academia realm. And I was wondering, you guys have a lot of experience in environmental advocacy and such, and if you had any thoughts or ideas of how to get students involved in programs or organizations beyond the confines of Exeter.
Great
Good
idea.
question.
Great idea.
What's the name of the woman in Maine who was in the state senate up there, who's Shoshana Zuboff's daughter?
Chloe
be-
Maxman.
Chloe Maxman. I wonder if she might be a good contact for anyone who's interested in environmental activism.
David Whittlesey is talking to her. She's going back to school. She's resigning from the state government position, and she's going back to school this next year. But
Right.
I think there's a good chance that she will find some way to maybe be a speaker at Exeter next year.
But she has been an environmental activist. And
Yes.
so if anyone wants to be in touch with her, is she currently still in the state senate in Maine?
She is now, but she's about to resign.
So finding her email address in the Maine government, website in the state senate, Chloe Maxman, Maxmin, is that right?
Maxmin. Yeah. David Whittlesey has her address, I think.
Okay, but if you're interested, Nicole, in being in touch with her, and you could just write her blindly, without any kind of introduction. I would be surprised if you didn't get some kind of response back from her, because she just seems to be very interested in this area, and she might have some leads for you or some ideas for you.
Yes. I'm sure she would have something. Be a good contact to make.
Also, I
Nicole,
think
Nicole, I think didn't I respond to your letter and send you a lot of contacts of various organizations? I don't know how helpful that was. Was that the type of thing you're looking for? Because I can send you, even more, but it's not. We don't have direct, at least I don't, but I don't think any of our group has direct involvement with those groups, but it's the ones that we're aware of. And if you can send out a CV, a short statement of your past studies and activities, and particularly your interests, and just shoot that out to all of them, and some number of them will give you some response to
Mhm.
let you know
Mhm.
kind of what opportunities they have, or other, networking, other places that you might explore to pursue your interests. So if you want more of that, we send you more of that.
Nicole, my organization, Physicians for Social Responsibility, has one of its two focus areas, climate work. And we work largely from a medical model, but our activists are not just physicians and other health professionals. There are a lot of people who work with us. I put the web address in the chat.
There's also the Union of Concerned Scientists, which has done a lot of work in trying to curtail nuclear proliferation, nuclear weapons, but also is very much involved in climate disruption and various facets of it. And so you could find them on the web, Union of Concerned Scientists. It's really top-notch organization.
I was just gonna say that I think in the next few years, I don't know who mentioned it or like what presentation it was, but I think the like adult board is going to try to have like some sort of like pipeline or like list of sustainability like opportunities that like kids can do over the summer. I think it was with Mr. McTamney and Mr. Biggins, and they mentioned like how in the future, in the next like 5-10 years, they're gonna try to set that up. But yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I just want to clarify something. It seems to me that between the two committees, the Environmental Action Committee and the Environmental Sustainability Committee, that there's a real division of focus. At the Environmental Sustainability Committee, composed of, McDamini and these other adults, is focused on the Exeter plant itself, the physical plant, the footprint of Exeter, and other physical environmental conditions that Exeter can help to implement to reduce its footprint. Whereas you guys, your committee, the EAC, is also very interested in curriculum development. Because to answer your question a little bit, Nicole, about how you can branch into these outside organizations, you have to be ready. You have to be really well qualified. So our idea of having a required course for all Exeter students, that would be a sort of a cross-disciplinary, introduction to all aspects of it, is going to be a springboard for the kind of things you'd like to do when you graduate. So am I right in saying that there is this division of sort of focus between the two committees?
I wouldn't say it's a division. I think that we've been placing more emphasis on curriculum this year, but it hasn't always been our focus. We just do anything that is related to sustainability work by students on campus, and the adult group is basically the same, except they're professionals and they actually work for the school, trying to I guess do more long-term and more significant projects that will cut the carbon footprint of Exeter, which is something that we would like to do too, except we don't have all of the resources as students, of course, or knowledge to do that. So that's why we're planning to collaborate with them more, because they can share their wisdom with us, and we can try to spread the word about what they're doing, because it hasn't really been publicized that much. So yes, that's where we are at. And of course, we will continue to push for the climate literacy integration into all core classes, not just science. And as I mentioned, and as is in the proposals that I shared with you.
So could you guys give us another indication of what the status is now, what the baseline of climate education on the curriculum really is at Exeter. Like how many students are actually have taken McTammany's, EPS 450, and how many students have actually done the goal, and how much education do you really feel you've received from these various 1 to 2 week modules that are kind of undefined, but are apparently inserted into various science classes around. So are you feeling that you're actually getting any significant climate climate crisis education under the current arrangements?
Yes.
Well, Nicole, you're the only senior, so you can probably talk more about that. And then anyone else who's taken electives, I have taken a few electives about the environment, but go ahead, Nicole.
Yeah, so it is a small proportion, a self-selecting proportion of the overall class that's going to take these bio electives. There are 3 offered, and it's in this environmental science sequence. So it starts with ecology, goes to human population and resource consumption, which is largely about sustainable development, and then it ends with organic, actually earth chemistry. And I took the first 2, but I'm actually doing a senior project on marine conservation. So I opted out of the final stretch of the series this spring. But again, it's not everyone that's taking these classes, and ecology is one of those classes that's actually less focused on sustainability and also like climate change in general. The human population and resource consumption is much more about climate change, and it much more directly addresses that. So it's interbred into like freshman bio and other bio courses, but with the exception of that, like human population and resource consumption, there's no real like substantive course that is designed to educate about climate change. And again, it's just a bio elective that you can take your senior year. It's not in any way required for the student body.
So, but the population course, that's, and these other ecology courses, that's a much broader focus than actually climate change. So, but you're saying that the population course really does focus in on the climate change aspect of it?
Yeah, the human population and resource consumption, it starts off like the first 2 weeks or so is talking about population growth, but the following 8 weeks is solely dedicated to climate change, understanding a history of climate change, and like looking at the political impacts, the urban planning impacts. I mean, the name of the course is pretty broad stretching and a little bit misleading, but it's primarily about climate change and how we adapt to it in a modern world and context.
And who teaches that?
It depends on the year. I had Dr. Goddard, so Sydney Goddard, and then Betsy Stevens also teaches a section of that. It really, they're usually the 2 that are mostly teaching that from my understanding, but it is like on a yearly basis, there'll be changes to whoever teaches it.
And how many students in a year will take that course?
So I believe there were 3 or 4 sections, and within each section, there's around 12 kids out of like a 350. Yeah, I mean, the senior class is the biggest class. Yeah. So it's a pretty big class.
Okay, thanks. Yeah. Thanks for that.
want to get back to your earlier question, Nicole, about what you can do to actually, after you graduate from Exeter, be an environmental activist. And two ideas have come to mind. The first is Oxfam International, and the second is the Peace Corps. Let me explain why. The real victims of climate change are the poor of the world, you know, living in the Sahel region of Africa or trying to maintain their lifestyles in the Inuit close to the poles. And these are exactly the places where the Peace Corps and Oxfam International are working. I've just got the Peace Corps page up, and they're actually recruiting right now a climate change awareness and action volunteer for Mexico, a forestry and environment change agent for Senegal, and a community environmental promoter for Paraguay. So, you know, and especially since Exeter is composed of students from almost every country in the world, this is a really natural way to continue your enthusiasm and your effectiveness as an agent of change.
Mm-hmm. I have a question, just a mechanics. We are now we're 5 minutes past 8. I don't know how long people want to go. The school year ends, are you all around through the month of May, or do some of you even leave before the end of May? When does the school year end? The reason I'm asking, I just want to know if there's going to be a chance for maybe one more Zoom session before your school year ends. So those two, you know, how much longer do you want to go tonight, and is there a chance that we might have another kind of talk with you before the school year is over this year?
So I believe, the last day of school is June 4th, I think.
Okay, that's what good.
Right?
Thank you.
I don't know. I think but it's in June. And I have a few minutes left,
Okay.
unfortunately.
Well, that's
In terms of a follow-up meeting, it might be really nice to hear the student reactions to the Climate Action Day.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. Early in May, or
Yeah.
Oh, early in May, I personally have, let me see. Oh, yes. Early in May, I have some AP tests. So I'm not sure if that would be the best week or weeks to do it, but
so in the few days in just sort of immediately after Climate Action Day, you mean like next week, later next week? Is that a possibility?
Climate Action Day is
Monday.
on the 25th.
25th, it's Monday.
Yes. So I would be available to do it from that Wednesday to that Sunday.
And I suggest that, Safira, that you talk with the other leaders of the club and other members of the club and assess if there's interest and what timing might work best for the people, rather than trying to figure this out on the call tonight, where a lot of the people who might come aren't here.
That's
just
correct.
let us know.
I agree with that idea. So we can just coordinate over email. We'll be better about responding. It's just been a little bit crazy with schoolwork and everything.
Understood.
Understood.
Okay, well.
This has been great. I mean, and I applaud you again for making the proposal in the first place and carrying through with the principal. And I think you've gotten more than I expected. So this is great news.
Thanks so much for taking the time tonight to meet with us, because you know,
Fabulous.
Outstanding efforts. Outstanding.
So just a technical thing, somebody might want to suck down the chat and distribute it before it disappears. I mean, I know it'll be in the recording, but it might be handy.
The chat is not in the recording, but I can. So I will make a copy of the chat and can send it around, and also, you know, there will be a recording. I'll send a link to the recording later tonight, and anybody who's in any student who wants to watch that who couldn't be here tonight can watch that at his or her convenience.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, everyone.
Really
Thank you.
Very
appreciate
impressive.
what you're doing, and all the other students, whether you spoke or not, we're thrilled that you're participating and really want to be able to be of as much service to you as possible.
Very impressive what you're doing. Very impressive. Yeah.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you
Night,
so
everyone.
much. Right,
Good
okay,
night.
good night.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Take care.
Night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.